The discovery in the void. The exploratory vessel Artemis glided silently through the endless darkness, its sleek hull reflecting distant starlight as it ventured deeper into the uncharted regions beyond the Orion Arm. Captain Nolan Drake stood motionless on the bridge, dark eyes fixed on the main view screen, where a peculiar gravitational anomaly pulsed like a heartbeat against the void. "We're approaching the edge of chartered space, Captain," First Officer Jun Takeda announced, her voice cutting through the bridge's hushed atmosphere. Stellar Command explicitly advised against venturing into the Veil Nebula. The gravitational distortions have claimed 3 survey ships in the past decade. Drake's expression remained impassive, though his fingers tightened almost imperceptibly around the railing. "Noted, Commander, but that distress signal is definitely human in origin. I won't abandon our people to whatever lurks in that nebula." The Artemis had detected the faint signal 3 days earlier, fragmented and distorted, but unmistakably bearing the emergency frequency protocols of an Earth vessel. The mystery deepened with each passing hour as their sensors struggled to penetrate the nebula's strange properties. "Captain," called Lieutenant Olivia Winters from the science station, her fingers dancing across the holographic interface. "I'm detecting a solid mass approximately 2 kilometers ahead. Composition matches." "Wait," she paused, recalibrating her instruments. "That can't be right. According to these readings, it's the horizon." A collective gasp rippled through the bridge crew. The Horizont had been humanity's most ambitious deep space exploration vessel, vanishing without a trace 70 years ago during a routine survey mission nowhere near the Veil Nebula. "Impossible," whispered Takeda. "The Horizont disappeared before any of us were born." "Visual confirmation," Drake ordered, his voice steady despite the tension building in his chest. The viewscreen shimmered, resolving into an image that sent ice through the veins of every crew member. There, suspended in the swirling violet mists of the nebula, hung the unmistakable silhouette of the Horizont, but not as history remembered it. The ship's hull was now covered in an intricate lattice of unfamiliar technology, gleaming with a subtle green luminescence that pulsed rhythmically like a heartbeat. "Life signs?" Drake asked, leaning forward. Winters frowned at her readings. "None that I can identify as human, Captain, but there's something, energy patterns unlike anything in our database." "The ship appears to be in a dormant state," added Chief Engineer Kai Rohan, studying the engineering readouts with widening eyes. "Minimal power readings, but that technology grafted onto the hull, it's not human, not even close to anything we've encountered before." Drake made his decision. "Prepare a boarding party, full environmental suits, weapons at ready. I want to know what happened to that ship and how it ended up here." The shuttle bay of the Horizont was eerily intact, preserved as if time had forgotten this place. Drake led his team, Takeda, Rohan, and Winters, through the airlock, their helmet lights cutting through the darkness. "Atmospheric readings normal," reported Winters, surprise evident in her voice. "Gravity at Earth standard, temperature 19 degrees C." "That's not possible," Rohan muttered, checking his own instruments. "This ship has been missing for 70 years. Life support should have failed long ago." The corridors of the Horizont were pristine, too pristine. No dust, no deterioration, no signs of the passage of time. The only indications that this wasn't a newly commissioned vessel were the peculiar modifications visible throughout the ship. Crystalline structures had grown along the walls and ceiling, branching like metallic coral. Periodically, pulses of soft green light traveled through these formations, as if the ship itself had developed a circulatory system. "What is this?" whispered Takeda, reaching out toward one of the crystal formations. "Don't," Drake grabbed her arm. "We have no idea what these modifications are." They made their way to the bridge, finding it transformed beyond recognition. The standard command stations had been integrated into a sweeping console that curved around a central pedestal. Atop the pedestal rested a pulsing orb of swirling energy, emeralds and sapphires dancing like a miniature nebula contained within a transparent sphere. "This technology," Rohan breathed, scanning the modifications with his equipment. "It's seamless. The integration with human systems is perfect. It's as if the ship evolved." "Or was evolved," Drake corrected, approaching the central pedestal cautiously. "Someone or something repurposed this vessel for their own use." As Drake drew closer to the orb, its pulsing quickened, the swirling colors intensifying. Without warning, tendrils of light erupted from the sphere, enveloping him. The team shouted in alarm, weapons raised, but Drake felt no pain, only a sudden rush of information flooding his mind. "Danger," whispered a voice inside his head, "coming, ancient hungry." The light receded as quickly as it had appeared, leaving Drake gasping. Captain Takeda steadied him as he stumbled backward. "What happened? Are you all right?" "I'm fine," he managed, though his mind was reeling. "It communicated with me, not with words exactly, but I understand now. The horizon didn't drift here by accident, it was brought here, protected." "Protected by what?" asked Winters, eyeing the orb warily. "I don't know yet," Drake admitted. "But whatever modified this ship did so to save it and its crew." "But there's no one here," Takeda pointed out. "Not anymore," Drake agreed. "But they were here, and I think they left something behind." Guided by an intuition he couldn't explain, Drake led the team to the ship's engineering section. The standard warp core had been replaced by a chamber that defied description, a space that seemed larger than the exterior dimensions of the ship should allow. At its center hung a device unlike anything human science had conceived, a series of concentric rings rotating around a core of pure energy. "It's beautiful," whispered Winters, "and impossible. This breaks at least 5 laws of physics that I know of." Drake approached a console near the device. As he drew closer, it activated, displaying symbols and patterns that shifted and changed as if alive. "Can anyone make sense of this?" he asked. "It's not any language I recognize," Winters replied, studying the displays. "But there's something familiar about the patterns." The symbols suddenly coalesced into recognizable text: quantum displacement drive, ready, awaiting authorization. "How did it take to begins?" "It's adaptive," Drake realized. "It's learning from us just as we're learning from it." The ship shuddered around them, systems awakening as if from a long slumber. Lights brightened and a humming filled the air. Captain Winter's voice was urgent as she checked her scanner. "Something's happening. The energy readings are spiking across the entire vessel." Before anyone could respond, the ship's communication system crackled to life. "Unidentified humans," came a voice unlike any they had heard before, layered, multitonal, as if multiple beings were speaking in perfect unison. "You have activated the Sentinel vessel. Identify yourselves." Drake stepped forward. "This is Captain Nolan Drake of the Earth Stellar Patrol. Who am I addressing?" A pause, then. "We are the Guardians. This vessel serves as our observational platform. Your presence was not anticipated at this juncture." "Guardians of what?" Drake pressed. "What happened to the original crew of the Horizont?" Another pause. "Your questions will be answered, but there is little time. The breach approaches. This vessel must be fully activated." The ship jolted suddenly, the humming intensifying to a near-deafening pitch. "Captain," Rohan shouted over the noise, "the alien technology is interfacing with the ship's original systems. Power levels are climbing exponentially." "Get back to the shuttle," Drake ordered his team. "Now." "But Captain," protested Takeda. "That's an order, Commander," Drake snapped. "I need to understand what's happening here." As his team reluctantly retreated, Drake turned back to the console. "What is the breach you mentioned? What are you guarding against?" The symbols on the screen shifted again, displaying an image that froze Drake's blood. A massive tear in the fabric of spacetime, darkness pouring through like a malevolent tide. "The breach is a rupture in the dimensional barrier," the Guardian voice explained. "It occurs cyclically. Your species has not existed long enough to witness a full cycle. The last occurred 50,000 years ago." "And what comes through this breach?" Drake asked, though he feared he already knew the answer. "Entities beyond comprehension. They consume, they corrupt, they convert. No species has successfully repelled them alone." The image shifted to show the modified horizon, its strange additions now glowing brilliantly. "This vessel was chosen because of its unique properties. Human technology possesses an adaptability that our own does not. We have enhanced it, prepared it for what comes." Drake's comm unit crackled. "Captain," Takeda's voice came through, tense with urgency, "the Artemis is detecting massive energy fluctuations throughout the Veil Nebula. Something's happening out there." As if in response, the viewscreen on the bridge activated, showing the violet nebula surrounding them. Before Drake's eyes, the mist began to part, revealing not the empty void of space but an enormous structure, a vast ring-shaped installation that dwarfed both the Horizont and the Artemis. "The Veil Nebula," Drake realized. "It's not a natural phenomenon, it's a cloak, a disguise." "A necessary deception," the Guardian voice confirmed. "Your species was not ready for the truth. Few are until necessity demands it." The ring structure pulsed with energy, and countless smaller vessels emerged from hidden docks along its circumference. They surrounded the horizon in a protective formation. Captain Drake, the voice continued. We have monitored humanity for centuries. Your ship found the horizon because we allowed it. The time for isolation has ended. The breach will open within your solar system in 30 of your days. We require your assistance. Why us? Drake asked. You clearly possess technology far beyond our own. Because humanity possesses something we do not, something that may be the key to finally ending the cycle. The console displayed a new image, a human brain, highlighted with patterns of neural activity unlike anything Drake had seen. Your species can dream, the Guardian explained. You imagine possibilities that have no basis in experienced reality. This trait, this defiance of the actual in favor of the potential, is unique among sentient species we have encountered. It may be our salvation. As the Guardian spoke, the horizon continued its awakening, systems coming online with increasing speed. Drake felt the deck vibrate beneath his feet as the mysterious drive at the heart of the ship powered up, preparing for an unknown purpose. Captain Takeda's voice came through his comm again. We're back aboard the Artemis. You need to return immediately. These alien vessels, they're surrounding both ships now. Drake understood then that he stood at a pivotal moment in human history. The decision he made now would alter the course of his species forever. I need to inform Earth Command, he told the Guardian. If what you're saying is true, we need to prepare. There is no time for your hierarchical decision processes, the Guardian replied. The breach has already begun its formation. This vessel must be activated now with a human consciousness to guide it. You mean me, Drake realized. Your neural patterns are compatible. The implications were clear. Drake would need to stay aboard the horizon, become part of whatever the Guardians had transformed it into. If I agree to this, he said slowly, I want your word that my crew will be allowed to return to Earth to warn our people. They will be escorted safely. But understand, Captain Drake, once the process begins, there is no reversal. You will be transformed as this vessel has been transformed. Drake took a deep breath, looking around at the bridge of the horizon, a human achievement now melded with something far beyond human understanding. Show me, he said finally, show me what I'm fighting for, Alliance. The Artemis emerged from faster-than-light travel with a flash of displaced energy, escorted by 3 crystalline vessels of Guardian design. Earth's orbital defense platforms immediately locked onto the unknown ships, but Captain Takeda had transmitted the emergency diplomatic codes ahead of their arrival. Tense minutes passed as Earth Command processed the unprecedented situation. This is Earth Orbital Command, came the stern voice of Admiral Victor Ortega through the comm system. Captain Takeda, explain the nature of these vessels accompanying you and the whereabouts of Captain Drake. Takeda exchanged glances with Lieutenant Winters before responding. Admiral, requesting immediate assembly of the Global Defense Council. The information we carry cannot wait and, she hesitated, Captain Drake remained aboard the horizon. It's complicated, sir. 6 hours later, the crew of the Artemis stood before the assembled Global Defense Council in the cavernous chamber beneath Geneva. The holographic displays showed the Guardian vessels maintaining position in high orbit, their crystalline structures refracting sunlight in impossible patterns. Let me understand this correctly, General Petra Novik said, leaning forward with narrowed eyes. You're claiming an ancient alien species has been monitoring humanity for centuries, recovered a vessel lost 70 years ago, and now needs our help to combat an interdimensional threat that will arrive in less than a month. Takeda stood firm. That's correct, General. The evidence is irrefutable. Evidence? Scoffed Counselor Zhang Wei. All we have is your word and 3 alien ships in our orbit that appeared out of nowhere. For all we know, this could be the prelude to an invasion. Dr. Julian Ackafer, the Council's chief xenobiologist, activated a holographic display showing the data recovered from the Artemis. With respect, Counselor, the biological and technological evidence is compelling. He gestured to neural scans of Captain Drake taken during his communion with the Guardian system. These patterns of activity in Captain Drake's brain during contact with the alien intelligence, they're unprecedented. His neural capacity was operating at nearly 300% normal human levels, without any signs of damage. And what of Drake now? Admiral Ortega asked grimly. Is he a prisoner, a test subject, a puppet? Before Takeda could respond, the chamber's doors slid open, and a Guardian representative entered, its form vaguely humanoid but composed of shifting patterns of light contained within a translucent exoskeleton. The council members recoiled instinctively, security personnel raising weapons that would likely be useless against such a being. Your caution is understandable, the Guardian spoke, its multi-layered voice filling the chamber without seeming to emanate from any specific point. But time grows short. We must establish understanding quickly. Admiral Ortega stood, his composure maintained despite the alien presence. Then understand this, Earth does not surrender its sovereignty easily. Your ships in our orbit, your talk of ancient threats, these are claims that require more than words. We offer more than words, the Guardian replied. A sphere of light materialized above its outstretched hand, expanding to fill the center of the chamber. Within it appeared a vision, the horizon, now transformed even further, approaching a massive structure orbiting Jupiter. The Sentinel vessel approaches the anchor point, the Guardian explained. From there, it will be able to monitor the breach formation directly. The sphere's image shifted to show Captain Drake. He stood on the bridge of the horizon, but his appearance had changed. Subtle illumination traced patterns beneath his skin, and his eyes gleamed with an inner light that was distinctly not human. Nolan Takeda whispered, shocked by the transformation. I am still myself, Jun, Drake's voice came through clearly, though his lips didn't move in perfect synchronization with the words, as if the concept of verbal communication was becoming foreign to him. But I am also more. The Guardians have shown me the truth, and it is both wonderful and terrible. The holographic sphere expanded again, this time displaying a vast cosmic tapestry, countless worlds connected by threads of light, civilizations rising and falling across incomprehensible spans of time. The breach is not merely a physical phenomenon, Drake explained. It is a wound in reality itself, created eons ago during a conflict between beings that existed before matter as we understand it. What comes through the breach are not invaders in the conventional sense. They are antibodies of a sort, attempting to heal our reality by converting it to match their own. The image shifted to show previous breach events, worlds transformed, their very molecular structure altered into something alien and incomprehensible. Billions of lives not ended, but changed into something that could no longer be called life as humans understood it. The Guardians have fought this battle across countless cycles, Drake continued. They've developed technology to detect the breaches, to temporarily seal them, but never permanently. Something fundamental is missing from their approach, and they believe humans have this missing element. Which is what exactly? Dr. Okafor asked, fascinated despite his fear. Not humans specifically, Drake corrected, but a trait that appears strongly in humanity, imagination. The capacity to conceptualize that which has never existed and bring it into being. The Guardian stepped forward. Your species' thought processes are unexpected. You create fiction, elaborate falsehoods that serve no immediate survival purpose. You imagine alternatives to reality, then work to make them manifest. This cognitive pattern is rare among sentient beings. Admiral Ortega's expression remained skeptical. And how exactly does our talent for daydreaming help against this cosmic threat? The entities that emerge from the breach cannot comprehend conceptual leaps, explained the Guardian. They follow patterns, rules, logic chains. When confronted with the unexpected, with that which should not be possible according to established parameters, they falter. Creativity as a weapon, murmured Dr. Okafor. Imagination as a shield. Take a turn to Drake's holographic presence. What exactly are you asking of us, Captain? The horizon has been modified to function as a focal point, Drake explained. A nexus where the power of human imagination can be amplified and directed, but I cannot do this alone. I need others, dreamers, creators, those whose minds naturally break from established patterns. You're talking about some kind of psychic conscription, Admiral Ortega said flatly. I'm talking about volunteers, Drake countered. People willing to temporarily join their consciousness with the network we're establishing. Their physical bodies will remain on Earth safe. Only their minds will join with the horizon. The Guardian stepped into the center of the holographic display. We have encountered 17,842 sentient species across the galaxy. None have successfully repelled the breach alone. But together, combining Guardian technology with human cognitive flexibility, we may achieve what has never been done, a permanent seal. Dr. Okafor's eyes widened. You're proposing a shared consciousness, a collective mind composed of multiple species. Not exactly, Drake replied. Think of it more as a symphony. Each consciousness retains its individuality but contributes to a greater whole. 3 weeks later, the modified horizon hung in orbit around Jupiter, surrounded by a fleet of Guardian vessels. On Earth, 500 volunteers, artists, scientists, philosophers, dreamers from all walks of life, lay in specialized chambers, their minds linked to the horizon through technology that merged Guardian crystalline systems with human neural interfaces. On the bridge of the transformed vessel, Captain Drake stood at the center of a web of light. his consciousness expanded beyond human limitations yet still anchored to his humanity. "The breach is forming," came the collective voice of the Guardians. "Prepare the mental nexus." Beyond Jupiter's orbit, reality began to fold. Spacetime twisted in upon itself, forming a wound in the fabric of existence. Through this wound poured darkness, not the absence of light, but the absence of possibility, of potential, of change. Entities that defied comprehension emerged, geometric impossibilities that rewrote the rules of physics wherever they passed. "They're coming," Drake whispered, his voice echoing through the minds of all 500 linked humans. "Remember who we are, remember what we can imagine." As the entities approached, the horizon activated its defense, not energy weapons or physical barriers, but something unprecedented. The combined creative force of 500 human minds projected outward, forming patterns of thought and imagination that rewrote local reality faster than the entities could consume it. The entities faltered, confronted with something they could not assimilate: the unpredictable, the unprecedented, the imagined. Where logic dictated one outcome, human creativity conjured another. Physics bent not to alien will but to human imagination. "It's working," Dr. Akafer exclaimed from his chamber on Earth, his consciousness simultaneously present on the horizon. "They cannot process paradox or metaphor or symbolic thought." But the entities adapted, learning, shifting their approach. For every conceptual barrier the humans created, the entities found a way to unravel it, to reduce it to predictable patterns. "We cannot maintain this indefinitely," the Guardian consciousness warned. "The strain on the human minds is too great." Drake felt the pressure building, the 500 linked minds beginning to falter under the alien assault. Then, in a moment of clarity, he understood what needed to be done. "Stop defending," he commanded. "Stop reacting, start creating." The linked human minds shifted their approach. Instead of defending against the alien logic, they began to project new realities, impossibilities made manifest through shared belief. Where the breach entities destroyed by converting reality to match their patterns, the humans created by imagining what had never been. The horizon's modified drive activated, channeling this creative force directly into the heart of the breach itself. Reality buckled, then reshuffled. The wound in spacetime began to heal, not through destruction or conversion, but through creation, new possibilities filling the void left by ancient conflict. The breach entities recoiled, unable to process a reality that refused to follow predictable patterns. Their very nature, to convert, to standardize, became their undoing against a force that thrived on variety and innovation. With a final, desperate push, the combined consciousness of humans and Guardians sealed the breach, not temporarily as had been done countless times before, but permanently. The wound in reality closed, healed by the application of imagination rather than force. As the neural connections slowly disengaged, the 500 volunteers returning to full awareness in their physical bodies on Earth, Drake found himself changed. No longer fully human, but not alien either, a bridge between species, between ways of understanding reality. "We have succeeded," the Guardian representative announced to the Defense Council hours later. "For the first time in our history, a breach has been permanently sealed." "And what happens now?" Admiral Ortega asked. "Your threat is gone, do you simply leave?" The Guardian's crystalline form shimmered. "The universe is vast and filled with wonders beyond imagining. Our species have much to learn from each other. If humanity is willing, we offer an alliance not as protectors or protected but as equals. Different in nature but united in purpose." Drake, still transformed but present in the chamber, smiled. "We dreamed of finding others among the stars. We never imagined they would need our dreams to save them. Take a step forward, and the horizon, what becomes of it, of you, Captain?" "The horizon will serve as our embassy," Drake replied. "A place between worlds, between minds. And I," he paused, looking down at his transformed body, "I will serve as ambassador, neither fully human nor guardian, but something new, a first step toward a greater understanding." As the council debated the implications, Drake gazed upward, his enhanced perception allowing him to see beyond the chamber's ceiling to the stars above. The universe had just become vastly more complex and infinitely more wondrous. Humanity's first true galactic war had ended not with destruction, but with creation, the beginning of a new chapter in cosmic history. And somewhere in the darkness between stars, other breaches waited, other wounds in reality that would need the unique blend of Guardian technology and human imagination to heal. The journey was just beginning.